The Galactic Council had long dismissed Earth as a primitive, insignificant backwater. For centuries, the advanced alien civilizations that made up the Council had paid little attention to the human race, viewing them as hopelessly disorganized and technologically inferior. However, that perception was about to change in the most dramatic fashion. Without warning, a delegation from Earth arrived at the Council's ornate headquarters, demanding an audience with the supreme governing body of the known galaxy. Skeptical but intrigued, the Council reluctantly agreed to hear what these unexpected visitors had to say. As the human ambassadors were escorted into the Grand Council chamber, the alien delegates eyed them with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. The Earthlings appeared unremarkable, smaller in stature than many of the Council's towering members, and clad in simple garments that seemed positively archaic compared to the gleaming high-tech attire of their hosts. Yet there was an air of quiet confidence about the humans that gave the Council pause. They stood before the imposing alien leaders without a trace of hesitation or fear, their expressions calm and assured. Something had changed, the Council realized, and they were about to find out what. Honored members of the Galactic Council, began the lead human ambassador, a stern-faced woman with piercing eyes. We come to you today with a matter of the utmost urgency. For too long, your species have regarded us as little more than primitives, unworthy of your consideration. That is about to change. We possess a technology so devastating, so apocalyptic, that it will forever alter the balance of power in this galaxy. A murmur of alarm rippled through the Council chamber. What could these lowly humans possibly have developed that would command the attention of the greatest civilizations in the cosmos? The delegates leaned forward expectantly, their curiosity now tinged with an undercurrent of unease. The ambassador raised her hand, and with a subtle gesture, summoned her colleagues to demonstrate this purported technology. Two Earthlings stepped forward, wheeling in a strange angular device that hummed with an unsettling energy. Without warning, they activated the machine, and a beam of pure, searing light lanced out, striking the ornate central dais where the Council members sat. In a blinding flash, the dais disintegrated, reduced to atoms in an instant. The alien delegates stared in stunned silence at the smoking crater where their seats had been, their expressions frozen in a mix of shock and horror. The humans had their full attention now. This is but a small sample of what we call the retribution pulse, the ambassador announced, her voice carrying a subtle note of triumph. With this weapon, we can annihilate even your mightiest warships and capital cities in the blink of an eye. The balance of power in this galaxy has shifted, and you would do well to heed our demands. As the Council members sat in stunned silence, they realized that their long-held assumptions about the human race had been shattered. Earth was no longer just a backwater. It was a force to be reckoned with, one that possessed the means to bring the entire Galactic Council to its knees. The future, it seemed, was about to take an unexpected and perilous turn. The Galactic Council members stared in stunned silence at the smoking crater where their ornate central dais had been. The human ambassador's demonstration of the retribution pulse had shattered their long-held assumptions about the capabilities of the supposedly primitive Earth. "This weapon of yours," spoke a towering reptilian delegate, his voice laced with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "How is it possible that your people have developed such devastating technology without our knowledge?" The lead human ambassador met the alien's gaze unflinchingly. "The advancements we have made were born out of necessity, not idle curiosity. For centuries, your council has ignored us, dismissed us as insignificant. Well, no more. The time has come for Earth to take its rightful place among the galactic powers." A murmur of unease rippled through the council chamber. The implications of the humans' claim were staggering. If Earth truly possessed the means to annihilate even the mightiest warships with ease, then the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted in a way that threatened the very foundations of the Galactic Council's authority. "And what, exactly, are your demands?" inquired a cautious, amphibious delegate, her large eyes narrowing with suspicion. The human ambassador's expression hardened. "We demand full representation on the Galactic Council. with an equal voice in all decisions that affect the future of this galaxy. We also require immediate access to the Council's most advanced technology and resources to be used for the betterment of our people. The delegates exchanged troubled glances, their discussion descending into a heated debate. Some advocated for swift military action to neutralize the human threat, while others argued for a more diplomatic approach, fearing that any show of force could provoke Earth into unleashing the devastating power of the Retribution Pulse. As the Council members bickered, the human ambassadors stood calmly, allowing the aliens to expose their own divisions and uncertainties. They knew that the balance of power had shifted in their favor, and they were prepared to use that leverage to the fullest extent. "You have 24 hours to consider our demands," the lead ambassador announced, cutting through the cacophony of voices. "Failure to comply will result in the total annihilation of your precious council and all its member civilizations." With that, the Earthlings turned and departed, leaving the Galactic Council members to grapple with the reality of their newfound vulnerability. The once dominant alien races now found themselves at the mercy of a species they had long dismissed as primitive and insignificant. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the Council had little choice but to confront the unsettling truth. Earth's vicious revenge had left them utterly powerless. Panic spread through the galactic community as the full implications of Earth's shocking technological advancement became clear. The Retribution Pulse demonstrated the humans' ability to destroy even the most heavily armored warships with ease, shattering the Galactic Council's long-held military superiority. Discussions within the Council chamber grew increasingly heated and fractious. Some delegates argued for immediate military action to neutralize the human threat before they could consolidate their power. "We cannot allow these primitives to dictate terms to us," raged a belligerent Krylaxian commander. However, others advocated for a more cautious diplomatic approach. Rushing into conflict could provoke Earth into unleashing their devastating weapon, warned a pragmatic Vosian delegate. "We must tread carefully and seek to negotiate a peaceful resolution." The Council's leadership found itself torn between these competing factions, each demanding a drastically different response. With the 24-hour deadline looming, they struggled to forge a unified strategy that could defuse the crisis without risking total annihilation. Beyond the Council's walls, the news of Earth's technological triumph spread like wildfire through the galactic information networks. Smaller, less powerful civilizations watched with a mixture of awe and terror, wondering if they too would soon be forced to submit to human dominance. "This changes everything," murmured a Trilarian diplomat, her tentacles coiling with unease. "If Earth can destroy our mightiest warships with a single shot, then our entire military doctrine is obsolete. We must reevaluate our defensive posture immediately." Other species reacted with outrage, denouncing the humans as dangerous upstarts who had to be stopped at all costs. Heated rhetoric gave way to saber-rattling as several Council member states began mobilizing their forces, hinting at the possibility of unilateral action against Earth. The delicate balance of power that had governed the galaxy for millennia was now in jeopardy, and the threat of all-out war loomed large. Faced with the reality of human technological superiority, the Galactic Council found itself in an unprecedented and deeply unsettling position, forced to consider the prospect of submitting to the demands of a species they had once dismissed as primitive. As the deadline approached, the Council's leadership huddled in emergency session, weighing their dwindling options. Surrendering to the humans' terms would be a profound humiliation, a blow to the very legitimacy of the Council's authority. And yet, the alternative, risking the annihilation of their civilizations, was simply unthinkable. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the Council members knew they had little choice but to swallow their pride and accept Earth's ultimatum. The once dominant alien races now found themselves at the mercy of a species they had long underestimated. The future, it seemed, was about to take a startling and perilous turn. The panic over Earth's Retribution Pulse technology spread through the Galactic Council. Some demanded immediate military action, while others argued for diplomacy to avoid provocation. The Council leadership struggled to forge a unified strategy. Surrendering to Earth's demands would be humiliating, but risking annihilation was unthinkable. As the 24-hour deadline loomed, smaller civilizations watched in awe and terror. They feared having to submit to human dominance. Heated rhetoric gave way to saber-rattling as member states mobilized forces, hinting at unilateral action against Earth. The Council's leadership huddled in emergency session. They knew they had little choice but to accept Earth's ultimatum, a profound humiliation, but necessary to avoid destruction of their civilizations. The once dominant aliens now found themselves at the mercy of the species they had underestimated. The humiliation of being forced to submit to human demands sparked a rebellion within the Galactic Council. Several member species declared their intention to break away and form a new alliance to resist Earth's domination. These defiant civilizations condemned the Council's leadership for their perceived weakness and cowardice. They accused the ruling body of betraying the very principles upon which the galactic community was founded. "We will not stand by and allow these upstart humans to dictate the future of our people," thundered the Krylaxian commander, rallying support among like-minded delegates. "It is time for us to take matters into our own hands and reclaim our rightful place in the galaxy." Tensions within the council chamber escalated rapidly, as the breakaway faction argued vehemently against any further appeasement of Earth. They demanded immediate military action to neutralize the human threat, even if it meant risking open conflict. The council's leadership, already reeling from the burden of Earth's ultimatum, now found themselves trapped between two increasingly unyielding factions. On one side, the human ambassadors stood firm, their ultimatum unyielding. On the other, the rebellious member states prepared for a potentially catastrophic clash of civilizations. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the Council's diplomats scrambled to find a solution that could avert an all-out war. They knew that any misstep could plunge the galaxy into a conflict that would devastate countless worlds and leave the survivors at the mercy of the victors, be they human or alien. Behind the scenes, clandestine negotiations commenced, with both sides maneuvering for tactical advantage while trying to avoid the apocalyptic scenario of an open confrontation. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the council members knew they had to tread carefully if they were to have any hope of preserving their fragile unity. As the standoff continued, the threat of a breakdown in galactic order loomed ever larger. The once stable system of alliances and mutual cooperation that had governed the galaxy for millennia was now on the brink of collapse, with the prospect of a catastrophic war becoming increasingly difficult to avert. The Galactic Council found itself trapped in a perilous dilemma, forced to choose between submission to the humans or the risk of total annihilation. The path forward was shrouded in uncertainty, and the consequences of their decisions would reverberate across the stars for generations to come. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the Galactic Council's leadership scrambled to find a diplomatic solution before the galaxy descended into all-out war. Clandestine negotiations commenced, with both sides maneuvering for tactical advantage while trying to avoid an apocalyptic clash of civilizations. The council delegates knew they had to tread carefully. Any misstep could plunge the galaxy into a devastating conflict that would leave countless worlds in ruins. The fate of the galactic community hung in the balance, and the consequences of their decisions would reverberate for generations. Behind closed doors, the diplomats engaged in complex, high-stakes talks, each side trying to extract the most favorable terms without provoking the other into a show of force. The human ambassadors, emboldened by their technological superiority, demanded ever greater concessions, while the council members grappled with the humiliation of being forced to yield to these once insignificant beings. The standoff continued, with both sides acutely aware that a breakdown in negotiations could trigger a catastrophic war. The prospect of total annihilation loomed large, and the council members knew they had to find a way to preserve the fragile unity of the galactic community, even if it meant swallowing their pride. As the talks dragged on, the pressure mounted, with the rebellious member states growing increasingly impatient and the human hardliners refusing to back down. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the Council's leadership knew they had to find a delicate balance between appeasement and resistance if they were to have any hope of averting the looming apocalypse. In a dramatic turn of events, the Earthlings revealed that their dreaded retribution pulse had been a mere bluff, a clever ruse to force the Galactic Council's hand. The humans had no actual weapon of mass destruction, but instead had leveraged their technological know-how to create the illusion of such a devastating capability. The Council members sat in stunned silence as the truth unfolded. For all their posturing and ultimatums, the Earthlings had no means to back up their threats. The balance of power had never truly shifted in their favor. It had merely been an elaborate deception. Recognizing that the once insignificant humans had outmaneuvered them, the Council leadership cautiously began to explore a path toward mutual understanding and cooperation. They realized that only through collaboration could they ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of all galactic civilizations, human and alien alike. Clandestine negotiations resumed, but this time with a newfound sense of cautious optimism. Both sides acknowledged the need to move past their previous confrontation and work together to address the pressing challenges facing the galaxy. Slowly, painstakingly, the two parties hammered out the terms of a historic agreement. Earth would be granted full representation on the Galactic Council, with an equal voice in all future decisions. In exchange, the humans agreed to share their technological expertise, helping to advance the development of the other member civilizations. The rebellious faction within the Council, still seething with resentment, was eventually won over by the prospect of gaining access to Earth's innovations. They realized that cooperation, not conflict, was the best path forward. As the new accord was ratified, a tangible sense of relief spread through the galactic community. The threat of all-out war had been averted, and a new era of collaboration and mutual prosperity seemed within reach. Earth's vicious revenge had ultimately proven to be a calculated gambit, a clever ruse to force the Galactic Council's hand and secure a seat at the table. Now, with the true balance of power exposed, the two sides embarked on a journey of discovery, recognizing that only by working together could they ensure the survival and advancement of all the galaxy's inhabitants. The future, once shrouded in uncertainty and peril, now held the promise of a brighter tomorrow, one where humanity and the alien races would forge a lasting alliance, their differences set aside in the pursuit of a shared, prosperous destiny among the stars.